My last video caused some people to accuse me of being a pirate. While I understand how someone may come to that conclusion based on the subjects discussed last week, I want to use this opportunity to assure you that I am not a pirate. As one of my fellow editors pointed out, I work for a gaming website and do get my share of review copies, enough to fill my time between classes and work anyway. Even though I'm not a pirate myself, I cannot bring myself to condemn it. It would be hypocritical of me, as I once was an active member of that society. You see, I come from an island that sits on the line where the Atlantic and the Arctic Oceans meet, and where the European and American tectonic plates split. We as a nation are very isolated from the rest of the world. And not only that, but the village I come from is on the east coast, one of the least populated areas of the whole island. My situation growing up was this. The closest store that sold video games was in Akureyri, 400 kilometers north of my childhood home. That store had a very limited selection of games and normally only carried older titles that had already proven to be popular. The closest store that had more than just a single shelf in the back of a bookstore was in Reykjavik, 800 kilometers away. There was no way for me to try the games out before I bought them, so in most cases I ordered by phone, relying on the clerk's knowledge of the games to guide my purchasing decision, which was in most cases a mistake. I don't know whether it was the clerk's inexperience with the games they sold, or whether they just wanted to get rid of the games that weren't selling by sending them to the country kid who wouldn't be able to return them anyway, but I usually ended up disappointed with those transactions. This was at the time of the PlayStation, so games were quite expensive, and I was very close to doing away with the whole thing. Then, a miracle. A friend of mine, one of the few kids in the village also interested in video games, showed up at my doorstep with a compact disc labeled Juarez. It had a bunch of games on it that were missing sound files and videos and very highly compressed, anything to make them easier to download on our 28K modems. If we were interested in a game, we would find it on the net, download it, try it out, and if we liked it, of course we wanted to experience it without all the bugs and with the full video and audio extravaganza the game was originally supposed to possess. I pirated quite a few games at that time, but every single crown of my allowance went into buying the full experience. As I said, I cannot condemn piracy due to the way it impacted my life. If I hadn't pirated games in my youth, I would have never experienced the versatility of this medium. I would never have become fascinated by the intricacies of interactive storytelling, and I would never have been motivated to seek an academic understanding of video game design and production. If one of my cousins who are still stuck on that rock would call me up today and say, "Ingvi, as you know, we don't have PlayStation Network, and demos are usually either IP restricted or simply non-existent, but what is this new title like?" I would probably respond by offering to send him my copy for a try. Whether I'd send him the original, on the other hand, that's a different issue. About a week ago, the European Union made me proud to live in one of its member states. It basically said fuck you to the Stop Online Piracy Act currently being discussed in the US Senate. It truly amazes me how easily the US political system can be manipulated to strip away freedoms to protect financial gains. The Stop Online Piracy Act would essentially make it possible for copyright holders like film studios, record labels, and video game publishers to make the US government block access to certain sites because of their content. Now, I know that this was originally intended to stop those websites that sell pirated versions of films and music by pretending to be legitimate resellers, but the way the bill is worded gives way too much power to the corporations. Imagine a gaming website like Hooked Gamers. Imagine we give a game a bad review and by doing so piss off the game's publishers. It happens. The publishers could then scrounge around on that website trying to find any copyrighted material, be it a trailer, a screenshot, a logo, or even a piece of text quoted in an article without the proper citations. They could then, under this law, have that site permanently blocked by the US government. That, my dear friends, is censorship. Very much akin to the systems used in China, Iran, and Syria, only this time it's the corporations doing the blocking. You see this image up here? They could now effectively have YouTube blocked in the US. I fully support any attempt by the developers to battle piracy, even those ridiculously annoying online checks for single-player games that make them virtually impossible to play in rural areas with less than stable internet connections. That's the developers' prerogative, and the more money they save, the better their games get. Keep up the good fight, I say. But at what cost must the corporations safeguard their income? How much legal power do they really need to battle those who seek to steal their intellectual property? Is online censorship really the only answer here? If this bill does go through, I know we'll be seeing a lot more websites of all kinds popping up in European countries. All I can say to them is, welcome to the continent of the truly free.